The IHSAA Champions Network welcomes you to yet another Indiana High School Sports Showcase event on this Saturday afternoon. We're at Southport High School for the final regular season game between the Southport Cardinals and the Evansville Reitz Panthers. And the IHSAA Champions Network is being sponsored by the Indiana Pacers and the Indiana Fever, the Indianapolis Colts, Farmers Insurance, Group, Auto, Home, and Life. Get a free online quote at farmers.com. Subway, eat fresh. Methodist Sports Medicine, get back in the game. Sharp Business Systems, work without limits. And our telecast brought to you by Wilson Sporting Goods, the official ball of the IHSAA. Along with our executive producer, Rick Vanderweilen, and our director, Jeff Luzader, welcome everybody to Southport Fieldhouse. I'm Jerry Baker, alongside is Big Jan Bozier, and rumors to the effect, big guy, that high school basketball is on the demise. You stand corrected. This baby is standing room only.
7,500 of your closest friends have decided to come and pay a visit. I'm telling you, we talked about it off air. This is Indiana high school basketball. As a kid, you dream of getting to play in front of a crowd like this in a facility like this, Bake.
I got here 2 hours ago and had trouble finding a place in the parking lot that was 95% full. Now, before we get to the varsity game, if the varsity game is anything like the JV game, we are in for a thriller. With 0.4 of a second to go, Evansville Reitz was fouled on a three-point shot. The young man goes to the line, hits them both, give Reitz a 1-point lead with 0.4 of a second. The rebound comes off to Southport. The young man throws it 90 feet, and how close did he come?
It hit the rim. I thought it was in. I really did. This place would have exploded. But, boy, it was a great high school JV game.
48-47 was your final. Reitz beating Southport. Now, here we go. Evansville Reitz, the #1 team of the state, unbeaten in 23 games this year. Offensively, they are a powerhouse, averaging over 90 points a game. Southport, nothing to sneeze at, 21-2. Jan, you and I have seen them this year. They also could put some points on the board. They average 71-1. I guess the question is, who wins a battle like this, the offense or the defense?
It'll be a game of adjustments, and it just is one of those games. That's why who's who of coaches are here, because it may be a chess match unlike anything we've seen in high school basketball.
About 3 rows down from us, the IU head coach Tom Crean is on hand. Don Fisher, the radio voice of the Hoosiers. I saw him a while ago. I talked with him. There are people from all over the state. A lot of the Evansville fans stopping me just to say hello. They had a great trip up, and they are here in full force tonight. What we'll do here is take a break. We'll come back, talk more about the startup of this ball game, give you the starting lineups in just a moment on the IHSAA Champions Network.
Ball at their own 36.
You want a playoff atmosphere? I got you one right here.
First down, Luck out of the gun again. Andrew takes the snap. Sets up, looks. He's going to throw one way downfield. It's T.Y. Got it! He's going to score! He's going to score! He's going to score! The Colts have tied it! Oh, my God! On a 64-yard pass play from Andrew Luck to T.Y. Hilton. It's 44.
Welcome back, Southport Fieldhouse. For those of you who maybe from the South have never been here, this is truly, Big Jan, one of the finest facilities. Back in 2008, they celebrated their 50th anniversary. I swear to goodness, it looks as good today as it did some 55 or so years ago.
Yeah, I'm so happy for the people at Southport. You know, they've had some down years, and this year they've been so good. And to schedule this game, these two teams have never met. Two athletic directors were thinking ahead and did a superb job because you were here 2 hours early.
Yeah.
I was here an hour and a half early, and I walked 2 miles to get here.
Pete Hubert, the AD here at Southport, and Beth Hagan, the AD at Evansville Reitz. Talking about Reitz, I talked to their head coach, Michael Adams, probably 20 minutes or so ago, Jan, and I said, hey, how was the write-up after the game last night? He says, we have no excuses. And I said, I want to commend you guys because this is a game that's being made up. It was a snowed-out game. They could very easily have said, we don't want to come. He said, no. He said the players, the coaching staff, and the fans of Evansville have been looking forward to this game. We were going to play it. No excuse.
The state of Indiana deserves this ball game. You're so right. And thank you both Southport and Evansville for doing that. Because you're right. They very well could have said, hey, bigger fish to fry next week with the sectional. But these kids deserve this game.
And Michael said, I don't think this has any impacts on the state tournament at all. He says, we're going to start next week. We'll play the tournament, but the kids wanted to play this game, and the fever pitch is just about as high as it can get. Michael Adams, in his 22nd year as the head coach of Reitz, has won 290 and lost 201. Overall, 25 years, a record of 349 wins, 213 losses. Southport, coached by Kyle Simpson, third year at the school, record of 37 and 29. Reitz, the big story, big guy, is the scoring. They are an offensive powerhouse. In fact, last night in beating Evansville Bossy 105-55, that followed a game 2 days ago when they beat Mount Vernon Posey 111-36. They've been over 108 times this year.
Unbelievable. That's on top of everything else being number one. If you look into Sagarin, it's 1 against 2. Everything is 1 against 2. And these numbers that Evansville has put up, I've never seen. So I am as intrigued as anybody to see in 32 minutes of basketball, how do you produce 93 points?
Now, on the other side, Evansville's right. The lowest scoring game they've had this year, Jan, was when they scored 75 against Bloomington North and 78 against Evansville Harrison. So it's no fluke. They've just done it all year long. Now, the other side of the coin, Southport, they're no fluke. They averaged 71 a game. They can't put up the numbers like Reitz has put up, but they did score 91 back on the 12th against Bedford North Lawrence at a 91-59 win. So the question again is this going to be a shootout, or can somebody defensively change the entire complexion of the game?
Well, I think every team who's played Evansville has said, can we slow them down? I'm looking down there, and I don't think anybody figured out how to do that. So the question is, can Southport run Southport's type ball game, or will Evansville do what Evansville does? If they do, it'll be a tough night.
In fact, I ran into Joey Brunk's father out of the lobby a while ago. He's a member of the same golf course that I belong to, and he was talking about how they being Southport, going to have to play very, very strong in a lot of positions, and they're going to have help from any number of players. Let's give you the starting lineups now. First off for Reitz, 23-0 on the year. They will start 3 guards. Drew Smith, a 6'2", 175-pound junior, averaging 10.2 points a game. Number 13, Jalen Sanford, a 6'3", 175-pound senior, averaging 21.3. Number 20, Alex Stein, 6'3", 180, a senior, averaging 18 points a game. So there you've got 3 guards, Jan, that are averaging 49 points in the guard category. At forward, number 22, 6'5", 200-pound senior Jacob Norman. He averages 12.6. And the center is Nate Hansen, number 32, averaging, he's 6'3", 190, a senior, 13.5. So all 5 starters in double figures.
Well, you'd have to be to score 93-plus per ball game, and just the pace in which they'll have to play to get that done.
That's what I'm really interested in seeing, Jan, as much as anything else. 32 minutes, putting up 111 points, averaging 94-1. You've got to really move that ball up and down the court. For Southport, here's their starting lineup. No change since we've seen them a couple of times this year. One of the guards, number 1, Paul Scruggs, 6'3" sophomore, averaging 17-7. The other guard is number 11, Malik Bennett, a 5'10" senior, averaging 16-9. At forward, number 10, Damari Davis, 6'6" senior, averaging 3.8. The other forward is number 24, Eli Walton, 6'3" junior, averaging 5.8. And Joey Brunk, I mentioned his name a moment ago. Joey is at center, a 6'10" junior, averaging 17-1. So the starting lineup for Southport, Jam, with Scruggs, Malik Bennett, and Brunk all averaging likewise in double figures.
For me, the key is Brunk. I think he has to be involved in this offense. The ball needs to go through his hands, because if it does, it will naturally slow the games down. Number 2, he has to stay out of foul trouble.
That's going to be very, very key. A couple of nights ago at Mount Vernon Posey, the Evansville Reitz Ball Club won 11-36. Stein had 26 points in that game. And the big thing there, Jan, was, and apparently Mount Vernon Posey was just trying to slow him down. Reitz hit 33 of 47 free throws in that game, with 5 players in double figures. Last night for the Southport Cardinals, beating Mooresville 77-49, Bennett, a nice ball game with 23. Scruggs is the other guy that's going to have to play well, one of their starting guards, only a sophomore at 6'3". You got a sense, Jan, that the fans are ready, and you know the coaches have had this in the back of their mind for the past week.
I've had it in my mind for a long time, and when I heard last week when we were coming here that it got canceled, I started crying, because you know how I love hoops. You know, an interesting stat that we'll keep our eye on, Evansville Reitz shoots 39% from the 3. That's good. It's not incredibly great. We'll see how this all comes about.
So the opening tip is going to be tossed up one more time. It'll be Southport wearing the white uniforms trimmed in red, school colors, cardinal red and white. Evansville Reitz in the dark uniforms, school colors are blue and gray. So the Cardinals got the ball to start the ball game, working the goal, 2 hour left. Glad to have you along on IHSAA And again, I'll remind you that after the game, if you want to see it again, it'll be available again for you. That's one of the beauties of this whole situation put together by the IHSAA. Spin move inside, rolls out, tipped up once by Brunk, got it again. Going back inside, misses badly, off into the hands again of the Southport Cardinals, and the first bucket of the game goes to Paul Scruggs.
Well, I like the way the officials called it. A lot of contact, no call early, Bake.
Well, this is going to be a tough game to officiate at this pace. Quickly on the run up court, Malik Bennett. Bennett drops it off in the middle at the free throw line, and backing out down was Damari Davis. Now they're going to give the ball back to Scruggs again. Only a sophomore, but by this time of the year, Jan, 23 games in, you're no longer a sophomore or a freshman. Well, you're a veteran.
You're exactly right, and every coach wants him because he is so good with the basketball. You talked about him averaging 17. You talk about Brunk being important. To me, he's the key to this ball club.
All right, the foul is on Nate Hansen of Evansville Reitz. That's the first, of course, on anybody in this ball game, and as Jan mentioned, it's going to be a key as far as staying out of foul difficulty on both sides of the issue. Long-range 3 by Bennett. Short, and the rebound yanked off in the middle, and here comes Evansville Reitz. First possession of the game, they come to the near side with Alex Stein. Now straight away out front is Drew Smith. They drop it off inside. 3 white shirts in there, but nonetheless, they somehow managed to get the bucket as Jacob Norman went right up between them.
Well, Southport comes out, tries to defend a 3, and a beautiful pass inside.
Tie ball game at 2. Game just getting underway. I mean, capacity crowd. They are standing in the upper reaches here. The capacity here is right about 7,000. Long-range 3 is going to be way short. Brunk's got it and puts it in.
Well, we talked about Brunk had to stay involved. Right now, he's on in the middle for the Cardinals.
4-2 ball game in favor of Southport. Long 3. Got it. Nothing but net for Nate Hansen. Hansen, a good three-point shooter, shoots 36% from the three-point area. And the first lead change of the game, a 1-point lead now for Evansville Reitz.
Evansville guards, Bake, will love to put pressure, and they love to get some transition out of this defense.
They are leaving Bennett wide open on the far corner, and this time he nails it. That's Jan at least the second, if not the third time he has been stationed down deep in that right corner down there. And we'll come back on the other end, and we'll get another one, this time by Nate Hansen again.
2 in a row for Evansville Reitz.
Third lead change of the game, 8-7 right now with Reitz in front. Brunt blocked out beautifully by Evansville Reitz. Here they come with no big numbers on the break. And a whistle and a foul is going to go against Southport.
I think a big key, though, is the no call down here. Brunt could have been easily called in a lot of games, would have been called over the back. They let it go. I like it if they call it that way.
And we got a timeout already. Let's see if it's going to be a full or a partial timeout. It'll be a 30-second timeout. Let's just reset the situation for you. The Evansville Reitz Ball Club, 23-0. They have not been tested. In fact, back in December, Jan, they played in the Gibson County Classic. They played against Mount Carmel, Illinois, Princeton, Lawrenceville, and Castle. They averaged in those 4 games 103.5 points per game in winning that tournament.
That's unbelievable. It's interesting to see how they'll come out today because, quite honestly, 3 out of their last 4 games have been against competition, certainly not to the caliber of Southport.
I think, to be perfectly blunt about it and taking nothing away from what Evansville's done, this is really their first big test of the year, and I think probably the head coach, Michael Adams, would say that.
Well, they beat New Albany, who's 20-2, so they were pretty good.
Yep, that's true, too. Long three again, just grazed off the front of the rim, and Scruggs comes off of the rebound. He averages 7.5 per game, and he's only 6'3". Open on the right side is Walton. Bring it back out to the point again. 4:50 to go here in the opening quarter of play. Off out and shot off the back of the rim. Not a good shot by Scruggs that time.
I really felt like you did, Bake. I thought he forced that one.
There's that real tough in-your-face man-to-man defense by Southport. Beautiful spin move that's off of the mark. Rebound put right back up and good. Good-looking move that time by Alex Stein.
And we can tell our audience, Bake, you look at Evansville Reitz, they are not incredibly tall, but boy, do they attack the offensive glass.
Yes, that's going down the starting lineup. You won't find a lot of big guys in there. Here's a collision at midcourt. Loose ball is going to be going out of bounds, and let's see what the officiating crew says. It'll stay with Southport. Yeah, their biggest guy, Hansen, stands 6'3", Norman 6'5", and then their guards are 6'2", 6'3", and 6'3". So the story I got on them, Jan, was they can shoot lights out. And that's the fact that they shoot 54% on the year from the field. And as you mentioned, 39% from 3 points, and anything over about 30% three-point-wise, pretty darn good.
And here's a stat that can't happen often for Southport is the turnover. Not a good pass, and they turn it over. You give Evansville extra possessions, and that's not good.
3-point lead now for the Reitz Panthers. They were down by a couple of points. We were tied at 2. We've had 3 lead changes in the game. Long three, no good. Rebound comes off to Damari Davis. He averages 3.5 per game.
It's literally a catch and launch 3-point offense. Why couldn't I play an offense like that?
Driving layup, nothing. Scruggs got it, puts it back up.
Yeah, that's why everybody likes him. He's so lengthy and plays tall, and he goes inside, outside.
Scruggs has offers from Kansas, IU, Purdue, and Xavier. Averaged 13.5 points and 7.2 rebounds, along with 3.3 assists last year. Similar numbers again this year. We mentioned that the coach of IU is here. I would not be surprised if there aren't several coaches tucked somewhere in this crowd.
It's one big blur of humanity right now.
It'd be hard to pick anybody out, wouldn't it? 3:10 to go, and a nice move inside. Really strong that time to the left hand for Damari Davis.
Boy, he went up strong. Using that left hand, that was beautiful.
Another change lead-wise. Now it's 11-10 in favor of the Southport Cardinals. Again, the Cardinals in white. Evansville Reitz in the dark uniforms. Pull-up jumper, 15-footer, left side. Off the front of the rim, tipped once, and off into the hands it goes of Damari Davis. Well, they're not going to be in any particular hurry. In the JV game, as a matter of fact, the JV squad did this. They held the ball for, what, maybe a minute or so?
Yeah, and I think you're going to see Southport and be in no hurry to rush this game.
I would be shocked if there's anybody in the 80s in this game. I really would. The shot will go in. It will count. And a foul is going to be called against Reitz.
Paul Scruggs make on a beautiful reverse move. That's why so many colleges have him on their radar, because of his ability for dribble penetration.
So the foul is on Mario Barnes. Number 11, Blake Ruckman. Now onto the court for Evansville Reitz. And Scruggs at the line, 76% on the year. Having a nice first quarter, Jan. 7 points already for Paul.
Yeah, I talked about in the opening. I really think he'll be a big factor if Southport is to win this ball game.
Biggest lead of the game for Southport at 4. This time the rebound inside, and Brunk comes out of there with it and got hammered in backcourt as they hand it off to Paul Scruggs.
I really think a big stat here early is Southport is doing a pretty good job, Bake, of allowing just one shot for Evansville.
Sanford picks up the foul. That's number 1 on the 6'3 senior. That's the third against the ball club here in the first quarter.
Bake, if Evansville's going to score 100 points with 2 minutes left in the first, they got to pick it up here a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, Jen. I just don't see this. I realize they've done it 8 times this year, but based on what we have seen from Southport, not saying that Reitz won't win the game, but I'm just saying 100 seems like really a long way to go and a hard way to get there. Brunk misses. Here's the shot, or the pass back outside. Now deep left corner, driving. White shirts everywhere, but a nice pull-up shot that time.
Yeah, about the time we say that, Bake, they'll unleash 40 in the second period.
Yeah, that's true, too. That's Stein's second bucket, by the way. He has 4. Norman has 2. And Hanson with 5. And the bucket. There's a steal. And the layup off the mark. The shot put back up again, and a mad scramble. So the bucket by Southport, that last one by Luke Johnson, one of the guys who came off the bench for Southport. Now we're going to get Damari Davis back onto the court, replacing Paul Scruggs. And it's 17-12.
That's a big second foul on Paul Scruggs, Jerry. That's not a good foul for Southport.
And we've seen Southport this year. They go, maybe 7 deep? Would that be stretching it a little bit?
I think so, and he's not one of the guys they want on the bench. He runs the offense. So let's see how Southport adjusts.
Southport looks like they've gone into a zone. Here's the long 3 from the corner left side. Well, they got some shooters. Not too hard to figure out exactly how come they're scoring that many points. Drew Smith with the bucket. And the ball almost knocked away. And finally it is off into the hands now. They got a breakaway. And the bucket is up and good by Drew Smith. Tied at 17. Second time it has been tied. Final 30 seconds of this first quarter winding down. Open man near side. Bennett drives the lane. Off balance shot put back up by Brunk once. Twice got it.
Brunk stayed with it.
14-9 to go in the first quarter in a 19-17 ball game.
Starting to pick up. I better be careful what I talk about. This high-scoring game, all of a sudden both teams really starting to pick up the offense.
Well, the fact they've scored that many points, that's not a fluke. They've done it with good rhythm and good ability. So here they come again. Evansville Reitz, again wearing the dark uniform. Sometimes the number's a little difficult to read from our vantage point. 1 second. They fire at the buzzer. It's off the mark, and that'll get us through the first quarter. And a quickly played first quarter, and a good one it was. After 1, Southport 19. Evansville Reitz 17 of the IHSAA Champions Network.
It's easy to buy insurance and forget about it. But the more you learn about your coverage, the more gaps you might find. Like how you thought you were covered for this.
Check it out, Mom.
When you're really only covered for this. Or how you figured you're covered for this when you're actually paying for this. You might be surprised at what's hiding in your coverage. Talk to Farmers and get smarter about your insurance.
We are Farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
To speak with a Farmers agent in your community, call 888-96
19-17 your score after the first quarter of play here at Southport Fieldhouse. Southport, Indiana, just a few miles south of downtown Indianapolis. And we've got a capacity SRO crowd on hand tonight waiting for this big game to unfold. Long-range shot, no good by Stein. The rebound comes off to Brunk, and here comes Southport again.
Joey Brunk really starting to be a force both defensively and offensively on the boards. That's key.
Open man right side, Walton. And now they're going to get the ball in the hands of Bennett again. Bennett. And here is a foul. The foul is on Drew Smith. That'll be number 1 on the 6'2 junior. Paul Scruggs, in addition to scoring 17.7 a game for Southport, also averages 6 assists per game, and that's number 1 on the ball club in that category.
And that's why it's so important for him to be on the court, because he sees the court so well.
2-point ball game. Southport up by a deuce. To the left, down to the basket that Southport's going for. A lot of Evansville Reitz fans. Pin inside. Good-looking play by Bennett again.
Bennett with 5. That's a mistake on Evansville part. Nobody gets and stops ball in the paint. He just takes it all the way in.
21-17. 4-point lead for Southport. They've led by 5. They drop it inside. White shirts come from everywhere. The shot is off the mark. Knocked out long into the hands of Eli Walton.
Once again, great underneath defense by Southport.
Here comes Evansville Reitz set up in. They appear to be also in a zone. Here's a great steal. The breakaway on the way, and it's off the mark by Smith.
They're going to call goaltending, Bay. Give the bucket to Smith.
All right, Drew will get the hoop. 6'2", 175 junior getting his 4th point of the afternoon.
That's a good call by the official. The ball had hit the rim, and he knocked it off.
And a near steal down low by Stein.
For the most part, Southport has did a pretty good job of taking care of the basketball.
And I thought they had a travel. Instead, they've got an offensive foul on Joey Brunk. That'll be number 1 on their 6'10 junior.
Well, he was just a little bit out of control, and the officials just really seen him back his backside in, and they didn't like that. Felt like that was an offensive foul, and that's his first.
21-19 ball game in favor of Southport in white. Evansville Reitz with the basketball, looking for win number 24. Final home game, final regular season game, I should say, of the season. Here's Stein. Now they go left side again. Long 3, not good enough. Rebound inside, and it's ripped away by Damari Davis. I mentioned he averages 3.5 rebounds a game. Pull-up jumper right out front is good by Malik Bennett. That's 7 now for the 5'10 senior. And knocked away inside. Now a substitution. Jamie Burnett coming on the court for Southport. Long 3, and I mean way outside. Whoa. And that's part of the shooting we expected out of this ball club. Long range 3. And that shouldn't surprise anybody. They will go to the 3 when it's available to them.
That's 3 for Hanson, and that was way downtown.
Hanson with 9, averaging 13.5. Going up for grabs, off into the hands of Hanson. Here they come in a wild collision at quarter court. And I would assume it'll be a blocking foul. No signal yet. Yep, that's what it's going to be.
You can start to see Evansville pick up the pace in transition. And they do that when you miss buckets. That's why when Southport can make a bucket, it really helps stop the transition game for Evansville.
That foul was on Walton, his first. Now here's the takeaway again. The driving layup, good. Malik Bennett. Bennett now with all six of the points here in this quarter.
He's been the difference, Meg. He's really taken it to the bucket nice.
He has outscored the Evansville Reitz ball club 6-5 in this quarter. 4:45 to go in the first half of this game, but just zipping along. Not many turnovers, not a lot of fouls. Everybody, in fact, Reitz has not gone to the line yet. Pull-up jumper at 14 feet, lets it get away, held ball, and the possession arrow We can't see it from where we are up here, but I believe it'll stay with Southport. Now here comes Blake Ruckman back on the court now for Reitz. And Mario Barnes also on the court for Reitz. He's a 6', 160-pound senior, averaging 8.3 points a game.
One of the things Evansville does so well is force the defense to respect the three, and then they have cutters going baseline that are open an awful lot.
Spinning down the lane, lost the ball that time. Did Eli Walton. Picked up by Reitz, almost stolen it right at the baseline. Now the ball kicked away. 25-22, Southport by 3 with 4:18 to go in the half.
You and I will both agree that the next meeting in officiating has to eliminate dark numbers with dark jerseys.
It is really hard.
It is really hard.
Yeah, dark
especially
on dark.
when they move like these guys. Come on, give us a chance.
Dark on dark. We did a Arsenal Tech game a couple of times this year, and their numbers you cannot read. At least we could kind of figure these out once in a while.
If they're not moving 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. 25-22 with under 4 minutes to go here in the half. Near side, change of the lineup with Jamie Burnett, the sophomore 5'10", getting into the lineup now. Here's a shot that's missed by Davis and rebounded by Evansville Reitz. They average 31.5 rebounds per game.
Yeah, you have to like Davis, but he's got to finish.
Behind the back pass, deep in the left corner, and they get the bucket again. That's the second or third time now, Jan, they have moved over deep into that left corner down there and set up the bucket, and almost a steal. That field goal by Ruckman.
Yeah, Ruckman's hit 2 in that corner.
Here's a shot inside. It's good this time by Murray Davis.
Murray Davis is tall and plays even taller. If they can continue to get him inside, that's a mismatch problem with Evansville.
27-25 ball game. Reitz with the ball, chance to tie or take the lead with 3 minutes exactly on the clock to go here in the first half.
What a ball game. What a ball game.
Exactly what we had expected, maybe not as high scoring as we anticipated. Open look outside, Smith. Got it. Beautiful shot by Drew Smith. He shoots 20% from the three-point area, but you wouldn't know it the way he's put that up. That's 7 points now for the 6'2 junior.
Evansville has 5 players on the court. If you leave them open, they shoot.
Well, obviously, as we mentioned, all 5 of their starters average 15 double figures a game. They can put it up. Nice fake. Here's the handoff that goes out of bounds.
Great idea.
Yep.
Style points are no good if you don't finish. Evansville got a little too fancy that time, Jake.
Stein comes in now for Reitz. Joey Brunk comes back onto the court for Southport. And it's 28-27 in favor of Reitz, and that is the 5th lead change of the game. 2 ties, once at 2 and the other time at 17.
See, Evansville now with full court pressure. I'm not sure they can do that with Scruggs in there.
Well, they break the pressure. Now they take it away. They got the steal done. There's a bump at midcourt. No foul call. They got one on nobody on Brunk.
Brunk hammers it home. Great court recognition by Southport.
29-28, another lead change. Number 6 here in the first half. But again, deep in that left corner. It was really kind of funny because Ruckman just put his hands down like, okay, you're going to leave me out here. I'm going to knock him dead.
He pointed to the basket just like you do in left field. Said, baby, here it comes, and nailed it. I love it.
All right, it's a 31-29 ball game. Here's a shot from the other end that's off the mark, and the rebound comes down into the hands of Alex Stein, who's the top rebounder for Reitz at 5.8 per game. And the pace will stop at least momentarily as the foul's going to be called on Southport.
All of a sudden, do you get the sense, Bank, that Evansville has really picked the pace up of this basketball game?
I don't think there's any question, Jam. When you score as many points per game as they do, an average of 94.1, you've got to go fast.
You know, and the thing is, Evansville this will be their first free throw that they've attempted.
Yep. That foul was on Malik Bennett, by the way. Here's the first free throw. It is up. It is good by Alex Stein. Stein shoots 80% from the line. As a ball club, they shoot 76%. Stein now with 5, averaging 18 a game. 6'3", 180-pound senior. Didn't get the second one. And the rebound comes off to Southport. A minute and a half to go in the first half.
Scruggs back in, Beck. He's got 2. He's got to be careful.
And they threw it away. Reitz has got it. Driving the layup off the mark. He caught off the rim, I should say, and in and good. And that is Ruckman again. He's having a great game and a good second quarter.
Yes, he does. 10 for him. He's got one of those looks, Bacon, just shows confidence,
Yep.
you know?
Biggest lead of the game for Evansville Reitz. They were down 5. Now they are up 5. 34-29. They almost turn it over again. A minute to go here in the first half. The ball's going to be out of bounds. Last touch, they say, by Reitz.
Well, the fans from Evansville don't like that call.
Now the officials are going to get together and confer. They're going to change the call.
You know, one of the things that until you see Evansville, you don't recognize, Bake. They are so quick of hands. They get in and make so many deflections, makes the passing lanes very, very difficult.
What he did, Jan, was call a foul on number 10, Damari Davis of Southport. That's the reason for the change of possession. Less than a minute to go in the half. 34-29. Reitz out in front. Southport knocks it out of bounds here down below us. Damari Davis knocks it away.
Not a good pass by Evansville. Southport very quick with lengthy arms to make passes like that, especially against Scruggs.
Long three. Nothing up the back of the rim. Nothing but white shirts inside. And the rebound taken up by Paul Scruggs. I mentioned he averages 7.5 per game.
Southport really needs a hoop here, Big, especially going into the halftime.
They are down by 5 after being up by 5. And a foul, this time on Evansville Reitz. A couple of dark jerseys in there. We'll wait for the official call. Foul is going to be on Drew Smith.
One of the things we talked about in the opening is really felt like Brunk needed to be a part of this offense for Southport. Here in the second period, not so much. The ball needs to go through his hands. But let's give credit to Evansville. They're fronting him and putting a guy in back to keep that from happening.
Now, Jen, that is the third foul on Drew Smith. They got to get him out of there. And they bring Jacob Norman, one of the starting forwards, back onto the court with the final 30 seconds of the first half coming at us.
Great pass.
And they'll draw the foul on the shot by Davis. Damari Davis, basket will count. The foul's going to be on Nate Hansen. That'll be number 2 on Nate.
Well, when you talk about Southport, you think Scruggs, you think Davis, you think Brunk. And Southport can't go away from what makes them so important inside.
This will be the second free throw attempt of the first half for Southport. We haven't had very many free throw attempts. This one does finally go in. So they've hit both their free throws. Damari Davis with 5 points in the quarter and 7 on the afternoon. Final 15 seconds, and the basket would not have counted had it gone. A foul called on the floor on Southport. So both ball clubs are not going to be in the bonus.
Evansville is so fundamentally sound, just fundamental basketball. If the defense doesn't come up on them, they go. If they back off, they shoot. That's just good old fundamental basketball. And they are so quick. That's the thing that I've recognized here early, not seeing Evansville, how quick Evansville truly is as a team.
That foul, by the way, was on Blake Evans, a 6-foot sophomore. And the first free throw is up and good by Alex Stein. Stein, as we mentioned, shooting 80% from the floor. Makes it a 35-32 ball game in favor of Reitz. I just noticed Kyle Simpson, the coach at Southport, down below us, walking away, mopping his brow. And who can blame him?
Little extra body heat and just a pretty good game going on.
You betcha. Scruggs getting inside for the layup and couldn't get it. And the rebound up into the hands of Davis. Davis loses it. It's on the court and a held ball. I think. A lot of body contact out there. I didn't see any signal for a foul, so the possession arrow will give the ball to Evansville Reitz.
Yeah, just a jump ball. Possession arrow goes to Reitz with .4. They got enough for a catch and shoot here, Bake.
Now a change. Scruggs will come out of the lineup.
Southport trying to get their guards to extend that. There's not much time, really just a catch and shoot here.
0.4 of a second to go, and they're just going to take it to the locker room as it stands. What a first half of basketball, pretty much as we had anticipated it might be. At halftime, Evansville Reitz with a lead of 35-32. And Chris May, the executive director of the Basketball Hall of Fame, will come up and join us here in a few minutes. So, Jan, a pretty exciting first half of basketball.
I think it was everything that we thought. Not seeing Evansville before, they just are so quick. They really pressure you. And I thought for the most part, Southport handled it pretty well. Too many turnovers for Southport, but we got what should be one well of a finish here in the second half.
A long way to go before this baby's decided. So we'll take a break and come back and chat with Chris in just a moment on the IHSAA Champions Network.
Are you a fan of exciting action, great sporting atmosphere, and good displays of sportsmanship?
I am definitely a fan.
High school sports, pure spirit, pure sport, pure entertainment value. Are you a fan of amazing spirit, incredible drama, and affordable ticket prices?
I'm definitely a fan.
High school sports, pure spirit, pure sport, pure entertainment value.
Back now, the IHSAA Champions Television Network on IHSAATV.org. Delighted to have you along on a terrific Saturday afternoon. Sellout house here at Southport High School between two of the top teams in the state. The Southport Cardinals come in here ranked number 3 with the basketball coaches and 3 with the Associated Press. Sagarin has them number 2. Evansville Reitz put 1s in front of all theirs. Sagarin likewise, 2 of the top teams in the state going after each other. Halftime, Reitz is up by a count of 3, 35-32. Each team is led by as many as 5 in the first half of play. As I mentioned, Chris May, the executive director of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame in Newcastle, has finally worked his way up here. That was no easy trip, my friend.
This is a great atmosphere. This has been a well-played game, a great JV game, and a packed house that has made it a little bit difficult to make my way up to your spot. But what could be better for Indiana high school basketball than an atmosphere and an experience like this on the last day of the regular season?
Yeah, when I opened up the telecast, I made the comment that those of you who think that perhaps basketball is on the demise, you need to be down here this afternoon because it ain't happening that way.
When you see people standing along the concourse during the JV game, and I'm sure these folks parked half a mile or further away, you know it's a great atmosphere and it's great for the sport.
Well, as I mentioned on the air, I got here 2 hours ahead of time and had trouble finding a parking place 2 hours prior to.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. A terrific place. If you've never been over there, you need to go take a look, and always, of course, go look for my picture. That you know, there's a special little
absolutely the Jerry Baker corner.
Section. Yeah. Anyway, Chris, let's talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame. First off, open Monday through
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Absolutely.
In fact, I think Christmas and New Year's maybe the only days you guys actually close up over there.
Major holidays will be closed, but you can find us 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday and 1 to 5 Sunday afternoons. Always there and always welcoming visitors. A great stroll down memory lane.
It is. It's just a super place. And in fact, you need to go more than once because I've been there 3 or 4 times and still haven't seen most of it.
Well, certainly we change our exhibits and our displays out, and of most interest right now is this season is a couple of significant anniversaries and a couple of our most recent additions and new exhibits. It's hard to believe, Jerry, but it's been 25 years since 41,000 folks packed the Hoosier Dome to watch.
I kind of wish you wouldn't bring that up because I did that game.
It's tough for me because I'm a relatively young guy and I can remember that, so it's tough to acknowledge. But that's been 25 seasons ago. So we've got an exhibit dedicated to that world record for a high school crowd, the state finals, Damon Bailey and the Bedford aspect of that story as well. Some really neat artifacts and items and photos and newspaper clippings to reminisce on that situation. And then also, this year happens to be the 60th anniversary of Crispus Attucks' 1955 state championship. Significant not just in the basketball world, but also socially, what they went through, what they overcame, and what significance that was for those teams, that team and those gentlemen. And so that's also a new exhibit that we have up.
You know, it's funny because I remember that the years that Crispus Attucks won the state championships, and I remember Oscar Robertson and Bailey Robertson and people like that, and it seems like yesterday, and then you tell me it's 60 years ago. I
didn't mean to insult there. Also, if I can squeeze in quickly, another couple of neat items we have as far as displays and exhibits at the Hall of Fame. Certainly most folks are now aware that Lauren Hill is a native Hoosier from Lawrenceburg.
Yes.
Obviously undergoing significant issues with her struggles with a brain tumor, and we have a section that will be up soon, not quite yet, dedicated to her and her Hoosier allegiances and ties and passion for life, as well as basketball. And our 2015 awards banquets are coming up, and we have our 2015 inductees are now prominently featured in our entryway with memorabilia, including 1941 Indiana Mr. Basketball John Bass is one of our posthumous inductees this year, and we have his 1941 Indiana All-Stars jersey that's now on display, the oldest that we have record of in state history.
That's terrific, and I'm happy to hear about Lauren. What a difficult time she has had, and she's making the most of it. I know that, Chris, one of the things you're doing now, because I ran into you a week ago with the sectional for the girls, you're out scouting for next year's Hall of Fame teams.
Certainly that's a year-round experience for us. We've had this past year's tournament, had great success, and of course the Southport boys were champions of our boys event in Newcastle. And yes, in the next 2 weeks things will be finalized. We have committees both on the girls' side and on the boys' side. And on March 30th, the Monday after the boys' state finals, we will be publicly announcing what teams, the 4 girls and 4 boys teams, are coming to Newcastle for next season's Hall of Fame Classic. We're very excited about it.
You got some good ones on the back burner?
I think we've got some star players, some outstanding teams, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We always enjoy that, and we look forward to the 2015 City Securities Hall of Fame Classic. Never too early to plan. December 29th and December 30th for the girls and boys in Newcastle.
Okay. And, at your big field house, which you'd love to see packed like this.
Absolutely.
And speaking of famous players, I noticed that you were sitting down there with a longtime buddy of mine, a guy I went to high school with for a while till he left Sullivan, Ray Pavey.
Absolutely. He's an Indiana icon, a treasure. We are fortunate to have him at the Hall of Fame, not just as an inductee. He's a heck of a great guy. He's an officer, the treasurer of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, and I get to pal around with him a little bit, take some phone call rides, and see some great games like this.
Now, did he buy the ticket, or did you have to buy the ticket? Because I know Ray pretty tight.
He's supplying the gas and the transportation. I got his tickets.
I got you. That sounds like a good deal. Anyway, thanks, Chris, very much. And I encourage the folks to come over to the Hall of Fame. As you say, open 7 days a week. We look forward to the announcement in a couple of weeks of the teams that will be coming in, both boys and girls. And as always, we encourage folks to go to the Hall of Fame and also come see the games.
My pleasure, Jerry. Enjoy the game, and hopefully we'll have a great second half.
All right. This has been a terrific first half, that's for sure. Chris May, Executive Director of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame in Newcastle, Indiana. We take a break again at halftime, 35-32, Reitz over Southport of the IHSAA Champions Network.
It's easy to buy insurance and forget about it. But the more you learn about your coverage, the more gaps you might find. Like how you thought you were covered for this.
Check it out, Mom.
When you're really only covered for this. Or how you figured you're covered for this when you're actually paying for this. You might be surprised at what's hiding in your coverage. Talk to farmers and get smarter about your insurance.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
To speak with a farmer's agent in your community, call 888-96.
Along with Big Chad Bozier, I'm Jerry Baker. Welcome back now to Southport Fieldhouse. Jan, let's take a look at the scoring of the first half of play real quickly here for Evansville Reitz.
Evansville, and both of these teams, Big, had pretty balanced scoring. It was Ruckman with 8. I think I originally said he had 11. That extra 3, Bake, went to Sanford. So Sanford has 3. Smith with 6. Stein with 6. Norman with 2. Hanson with 9. For Southport, it's Scruggs with 7. Davis with 7. Bennett with 9. Johnstone with 3. And Brunk with 6. In that, Bake, a couple points. Points in the paint. Southport 18. Evansville just 4. Points off the bench. Evansville 8. Southport 3. Evansville shot 50% from three-point line. for the first half, whereas Southport shot just 33% from three-point range, but 50% from two-point line.
One of the things we should know, Jan, is look at the rebounds. Total rebounds, Southport winning that battle 18-10.
Yeah, and the turnover, we talked about those. Southport 8, Evansville 5.
Well, it pretty much tells you what's on the scoreboard right now, which is 35-32. Cardinals got the ball to begin the second half, and they will work the goal to our right. Deep right side is Scruggs, going inside to Brunk, and Brunk turns around for the shot, and he has 9. Take it to 8 right now. And I think that you would agree, Jan, that Joey Brunk is going to be one of the guys that they're going to have to focus on. He had 6 points in the first half, has 1 personal foul, and as dominant as he could be, he was not, because the Reitz defense did a nice job on him.
Yeah, no question, though. He's a mismatch for Evansville inside, so Southport has to keep the ball in his hand.
Damari Davis with the block for Southport. They get to the other end, and the shot is missed, but the foul is going to be called, and let's hope that we're okay here. Drew Smith picks up the foul, and he came up limping pretty strong, and on Drew, that is his 4th foul.
Oh, that's huge.
That is huge. He is having trouble just getting off the court right now, and he's one of the keys, averaging 10.2 points, 5.5 rebounds, and leads the team in steals with 3.8. And going to the line now is Walton, not a good free throw shooter, but he got that one looking good. He shoots 56% on the year. That's his first point of the afternoon. And so they have made the change. And Evan Higgs, I'll check it, Mario Barnes will come out of the court now for Reitz, replacing Drew. And that's going to be something I'm going to have to deal with, Jan, because Drew Smith's one of the keys.
No question about it. Let's hope, first of all, the ankle's not too injured. And, boy, 4 fouls. He's going to be sitting for a while, I would think. Let's see.
Tie ball game at 35. Rebound off to Brunk. Waits for the traffic to clear, and very quickly, Reitz gets back defensively. In a hurry, down the lane, Scruggs. And the basket would not have counted. Offensive foul on Scruggs.
Boy, that's huge. We just talked about him having to play and not collect the 3rd foul, and he just got it.
And that is the 3rd foul of the game on Paul, who averages 17.5 points, leads the team in assists with 6 per, second in steals with 2.8, and one of the top rebounders at 7.5 per game.
And he's staying in right now. Simpson I think he has to stay in there.
Well, we talked about perhaps the depth is not all that much on Southport's side of the column. Here's a foul on Brunk. That'll be 2 on Joey. And a shooting foul.
Well, Norman really did a nice move there. He pushed his body, forced his body almost on Brunk, giving Brunk almost no choice but to have body contact and pick up the foul.
It'll be a 2-shot foul. The first free throw by Jacob Norman is good, giving him his 3rd point of the game. Norman, a 72% shooter. We mentioned this is a good free throw shooting team. Evansville Reitz at 76%. Got them both. So the lead goes back again now to Reitz at 37-35. This is Scruggs again. Deep left side, long 3, air ball, put back up and good by Brooke. That's the 2nd time in the game he has caught an air ball, Jan, and put it back.
Yeah, that's 10 for Brunk.
37 tie. Inside, Brunk might have got a piece of the shot, but certainly changed the trajectory. And from behind, the foul on Damari Davis.
You know, one of the things Brunk's going to have to do a better job, Big, is when he blocks shots, he's got to block, not pushing his arm down. A lot of officials won't give you the benefit of the doubt. You keep that arm straight, and you will get yourself in those foul troubles.
And Stein goes to the line. He'll shoot 2 again. Alex now with 7.
Stein's the only free throw shooter right now for Evansville.
Got missed on the second one.
3 for 6.
And the rebound comes off to Southport. The Cardinals, they look for the pull-up 15-footer out of the free throw line, jumping inside to Brooke again.
Got to do it, Big. Evansville has no answer for that mismatch.
We talked about earlier that there's not a lot of height on this Reitz ball club. They do it with shooting, And that time it wouldn't go, and the rebound comes off to Damari Davis.
All of a sudden, a little run right now for Southport.
And we've had 8 lead changes in the game. 3 in the corners off the mark, but the rebound stays with Southport. Scruggs will set up the offense at long range and come near side to Bennett. Now here comes Reitz out to kind of force the issue defensively with 5.5 to go in the third quarter. Pull up 3. Bennett, nothing doing. Beautiful position inside that time by Mario Barnes.
And Davis got to be a little smarter than that. That's not a foul he wants either. Clearly over the back was the correct call, and that's 3 on him.
Yeah, he has 3. Paul Scruggs has 3. Joey Brunk with 2. Reitz playing a little bit short-handed right now because they lost Drew Smith very early in the quarter. He had his 4th personal foul and also seemed to suffer a bit of an injury. Let's hope he's okay. I'll tell you, Reitz does a good job of moving the ball and finding the open man. Brunk couldn't get the job done as, again, they get down inside of the baseline area, and the bucket is good by Jacob Norman. Norman getting his first field goal since the first quarter, give him 4 points in the quarter and 6 of the game. And it's 40-39, yet another lead change. Tipped up by Brunk, and yet another lead change.
Brunk, no question about it, is becoming a big factor in this third period.
He has all 4 of the field goals by Southport's Cardinals in this quarter.
Look for Evansville to attack Brunk.
Well, they spit it to inside, and maybe one too many passes that time. Now they double right at the timeline, and foul on Reitz. Nate Hansen.
Yeah, they get Hansen.
3 on him.
Evansville just didn't quite get the trap set and got caught for the reach.
So Blake Ruckman will come onto the floor, and Hansen will come out. Now here comes Drew Smith back onto the court, and that's terrific news for the Evansville Reitz folks. He replaces Mario Barnes. 41-40, 10 lead changes. 4 ties in the game.
Both teams, quite honestly, playing really good matchup defense.
Brunk again inside. Got it.
Well, you can see why everybody wants Mr. Brunk. 10 in this quarter alone, Bake. 16 on the night.
43-40. 3-point lead now for Southport. Here's the ball. Brunk came out of there with it. Dark shirts all over him. Somehow managed to get it away. They had briefly numbers on the break, and they got it inside to Paul Scruggs, and Scruggs now with 9, and the first 2 points for him since the first half. And just like that, the lead goes back to 5 again.
Evansville needs a score. I don't like that foul out of Southport.
Substitution for the Cardinals. Luke Johnston back onto the court, and the foul is on Walton. That'll be number 2 on the starting forward for Southport.
I really felt like Southport had a little bit of a run going there and just play good defense if you're Southport.
Now let's keep an eye on the fouls, Jan, because that's 5 already against Southport. It's not going to take long for Reitz to get into the bonus situation. Good defense employed on the far side by Walton. Knocked it away, but last touch by Evansville Reitz.
We talked about the quickness of Evansville. Would not be fair not to talk about the quickness of the guards of Southport.
Here's the timeout taken by Reitz. It'll be a 30-second timeout. That's their first timeout of the game. Likewise, Southport took a timeout earlier in this contest. Evansville Reitz, the number 1 state team of the state offensively, and the number 1 team of the state in average margin, and one of 2 undefeated teams in the state, the other being Mishawaka Marion, that's 18-0. We talked about Drew Smith. After playing in the opening round of pool play against Mount Carmel in the Gibson County Classic, he missed the final 3 games of that tournament after undergoing surgery to remove bone fragments in his knee. So you know anytime he gets bumped, Jen, he's going to be a little bit testy out there.
Yeah, that knee will stay tender for some time. And the only thing you can do to heal that is rest. That ain't happening anytime soon.
Not going to happen, because Evansville Reitz will come right out of this and get right into tournament play. They will open up on Tuesday against Evansville North in the Evansville North sectional.
That is huge. Number 21 for Southport, Johnson. That's his second 3 and the biggest lead of the ball game for Southport.
And a half a dozen points now for Luke, and the lead goes now to 8. And as Jan mentioned, that is the biggest lead of the game by either ball club. And a foul at the other end.
Southport really doing a good job of spacing the floor, and because Brunk has been such a factor inside, Evansville has had to collapse, opening up those outside three-point shots for Southport.
Eli Walton with his third foul. First free throw is good. Substitution now. Nate Hansen coming back onto the court for the Panthers. Both free throws are good. So a nice looking effort by Jalen Sanford. Sanford now with 5.
Southport with numbers.
48-42, 6-point lead. Southport with the lead and the basketball. They have moved Brunk on the far side out there. Here's a blocking foul being called against Reitz. It's going to be on Stein.
That's why it's so important to keep Scruggs on the court, Bake. He is so tall, so big as a guard, kind of Bobby Wilkerson type guy. He's so hard for a smaller guard to defend.
48-42 is your score. Half a dozen points now. Out in front is Southport. Reitz now sticking to the man-to-man defense. They had shifted briefly. It appeared earlier on in the game going into a zone. Here they go inside once again to Brunk. And Brunk with 6 field goals in the quarter, 6 of the 7 they have.
Evansville really needs some offense here.
Reitz driving inside. Sanford, no. Rebound knocked away. Loose ball picked up by Southport. They get numbers on the break, and they missed a shot, but the tip-up is good by Paul Scruggs.
4 for Scruggs in the third period. Evansville comes right back. Hansen with the slam bake.
He's in double figures now with 11.
That'll spark Evansville.
They needed something because they had gone down by 10.
Timeout, Southport.
And a timeout will be taken by Southport. And again, that's going to be another 30-second. Now they've got to change it to a full timeout, so we'll do the same with the IHSAA Champions Network.
Ball at their own 36.
You want to play off atmosphere? I got you one right here.
First down, Luck out of the gun again. Andrew takes the snap. Sets up, looks. He's going to throw one way downfield. It's T.Y. He's got it! He's going to score! He's going to score! He's going to score! The Colts have tied it! Oh, my God! On a 64-yard pass play from Andrew Luck to T.Y. Hilton. It's 44.
Southport in this third quarter has put 20 points on the board compared to only 9 for Reitz. Reitz with only 2 field goals of the quarter. Brunk alone has 6, so they have 9 field goals in this quarter.
I really think it's important for Reitz to get some transition buckets, Bake. Something they do very well. Let's see how they play defensively here.
Penetration, Scruggs. Scruggs now with 13, 6 in the quarter. And the lead goes back to 10 again. At the other end, off the mark, Brunk knocks it free. Picked up, though, by Reitz. Going inside. Oh, what a move by Ruckman.
Boy, I like Ruckman. Just a gutsy type player.
And we've got a whistle again, and I think a technical foul, and I'm not sure on whom or for what reason.
I'm not sure. We didn't get a double. Let's see. Yeah, I think that Ruckman and somebody kind of just exchanged words a little bit, and the official said, I'm not going to have that. Let's see what he does, but I thought he called a double T. Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Okay, one will be on Ruckman. That'll be the first of the game on him. They are personal fouls as well as technical fouls.
Didn't really see what happened. Both teams, or both players, just kind of exchanged some words. That's where you exchange words to get you in trouble sometimes. I think they did it right in front of the official.
Well, they haven't signified yet, Jan, who the Southport technical foul goes on.
No, I haven't seen the Southport one.
And they're still showing Ruckman with his foul.
Because it's a double technical, the ball doesn't change hands.
All right, still no official word. We'll try to keep an eye on that for you. Down to the final minute and a half of this third quarter. And Brunk again.
He's had one well of a period.
He's at 20 points right now.
Evansville really needs a bucket here. Need to get some good ball movement and get their shot going.
With the basketball, Alex Stein. Stein penetrates it. Good-looking play.
Absolutely beautiful for Reitz.
Stein now with 9. That cuts the lead down to 8 again. They put that other foul apparently on Joey Brunk. That other technical foul. That's 3 on him.
Stein with 9.
Inside a minute here in the third quarter. Nobody's left this arena right now. Long 3, front of the rim, nothing. Numbers on the break. Here comes Reitz all the way in for the layup, and they're gonna take it off, saying the foul occurred prior to the shot. Now the NBA, that would count. It'd be a continuation, but that's not the case here.
No, I think he clearly called it. He clearly called the foul before the shot had ever took place. So that's where he called the foul. That would be the correct call. But as I was talking about earlier, I really felt Reitz needs more of those transition buckets.
Malik Bennett with personal foul number 2, and the shot off the mark by Hansen. They're going to need those free throws. They've taken 8 free throw shots in this period. A steal and a bucket wide open. That bucket that time by Stein. So he has 5 in the quarter, 11 on the afternoon. The lead chopped down to 6 after being up by 10. Here's Bennett. Floater. Got it. Malik Bennett now with 11.
14 seconds left, Big.
Here we go.
In the third period.
And this is a very unusual situation for Reitz. They have not been scoring-wise in this kind of predicament all year probably. Here's the long-range shot, nothing doing. Oh, what a great save under the basket that time.
How big is that by Stein?
Stein gets the bucket for his 7th point of the quarter on the air ball thrown up. 8 more minutes to go, and we still haven't decided anything. It is Southport 58, Reitz 52 on the IHSAA Champions Network.
It's easy to buy insurance and forget about it. But the more you learn about your coverage, the more gaps you might find. Like how you thought you were covered for this.
Check it out, Mom.
When you're really only covered for this. Or how you figured you're covered for this when you're actually paying for this. You might be surprised at what's hiding in your coverage. Talk to Farmers and get smarter about your insurance.
We are Farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
To speak with a Farmers agent in your community, call 888-96
Reitz also being represented in the Boys Swimming Championships, and Lilia King of Reitz won the Mental Attitude Award in girls swimming and winning the 200 individual medley. She became the first girls swimming state champion in Reitz school history. They're just spreading the wealth around down there. They've overall won 3 state championships. Girls basketball one time, and then in football a couple of times likewise.
What a shot!
Good looking play again by Nate Hansen.
I really felt like Reitz finished the quarter strong after a big scoring quarter out of Southport with 26. What a game.
Now you got to get it done on the defensive end of the court. Here's the long 3. Got it. Nobody went out to get on Bennett, and Bennett knocks it home. And Bennett now with 15. Make it 14.
Nobody from Southport checks out. And I believe that's Stein with the putback.
He's having a nice ball game.
Yes,
Stein had a 7th point third quarter, giving him 13, and now make it 15. Another long-range 3 again.
I think somebody may be unconscious.
Bennett, 3rd three-pointer of the game. 17 points, 3 at the other end. In your face, Nate Hansen.
Hansen says, wait a minute, I can do that.
That's 16 points for him, 2.5 above his scoring average, and it's 64-59. And a timeout taken by Reitz, a full timeout. We'll do the same with the IHSAA Champions Network. We're back at a jam-packed Southport Fieldhouse on IHSAATV.org. And just when it looked like Southport was ready to put them away, Reitz has come storming back to take that 10-point lead and chop it down to 5. 64-59 with 6:45 to go. Quickly to the hoop, and this is the guy that's doing the damage right now. Malik Bennett has all 8 of the points for Southport here in the fourth quarter.
19 on the night.
Reitz averaging 94-1. Long three, front of the rim, nothing doing. Good battle for the rebound, picked up out of there by Jalen Sanford. Here's the baseline jumper right side, and it won't count. The whistle had blown prior to the shot.
You know, one of the things Reitz does among so many is they do a nice job. When they catch bait, they always provide a ball fake to get the defender up in the air, and they do a really good job of that.
The foul on Johnston, number 1. And at the line is Stein. I've got him 3 for 6 in this game. This one rolls in.
Yeah, we're down the home stretch now. Free throws in this game will be a must.
As I mentioned earlier in the telecast, Alex, an 80% shooter. Stein and Norman are headed, by the way, to the University of Southern Indiana. This is the second one, and those could be big in the final 6:20 of this game. Here's a foul on Reitz at the other end of the court. Sanford gets his second foul. And here comes Mario Barnes back onto the court. Sanford, by the way, heading to the University of Toledo, had a season-high 33 against Floyd Central. He is the 7th member of the Reitz 1,000-point club. Here's Scruggs. Deep left side. Back it up. Well, he's feeling it, but nothing doing this time for Scruggs.
Yeah,
maybe he forced one that time.
No question he forced one.
And Scruggs will get it, left-hands it up and in for 15. And the lead jumps back to 8 again. Deep left side, knocked away. Last touched defensively by Scruggs of Southport.
We talked about the length of Scruggs. Those are passes that you normally make against other players, but Scruggs just plays so tall. Lengthy kid. Oh, what a pass.
It was a beautiful pass, but it was a little bit low, and it caught the intended receiver that time. Hansen right on the knee. Floater out front.
Reitz needs a timeout.
17 now for Scruggs. They do need one. We'll see
if they play through it.
The head coach going to go right through it and get the bucket, draw the foul, go to the line. The foul's going to be on Bruck. That'll be 4 on him.
Norman with 8 on, and he runs the floor so well. I talked about Reitz really down low on that baseline. Always have people attacking the rim, and they're always available for a nice pass.
Chance for the three-point play is short. And the rebound picked up by Reitz, so they'll start it again. Here is Ruckman off the mark, rebound inside, and terrific battle that time by Norman. Well, they need a bucket right here, and they're not going to get it as the ball comes off into the hands this time of Johnston.
Well, boy, how about hitting the boards for Reitz? 2 offensive rebounds.
Here's a held ball. Possession arrow down below us, I believe, will indicate it'll stay in the hands of Southport. And he's getting just a little testy defensively right now because Reitz is going to have to stop them. Jan, even if they can score, they got to stop them at the other end. And they have not been able to stop Scruggs or Bennett in this quarter. 70-62, 4:55 to go. Beautiful defensive play inside that time. What a great looking block by Sanford. 4:54, fourth quarter. The lead in the hands of the Southport Cardinals.
Well, one thing the Southport did an excellent job of, they started hitting those long threes, and it really opened the inside. Now they're getting good paint penetration, and there's another one.
Bennett again. Bennett with 11 points through 3 quarters has 10 in this quarter alone. Here's the 3 outside. Got it. That'll cool things off a little bit if you're a Reitz fan.
That's exactly what Reitz needed, too. Good paint penetration. Nothing there. Kicked it out.
Mario Barnes coming off the bench for Reitz. Again, I've got that down as his first points of the game.
It exactly is. His first 3. And, boy, it was timely, too.
And a foul on Malik Bennett on.
This is a big defensive possession for Reitz, Bake.
Now check it. That foul was on Ruckman. That'll be 2 on the 5'11 junior.
Southport has, in the last 3 out of 4 possessions, really got deep in their paint penetration. Here's
and a steal, and the bucket would have counted had it gone. It did not. Scruggs gets foul 4.
Yeah, how many's that on Scruggs?
That's 4.
Yeah, that's a big, big foul. So not only is the turnover huge, but the 4th foul, that's excellent for Evansville Reitz.
You can just see the quickness in this Reitz ball club.
Yeah, we talked about not only their hands and all the deflections, but great foot speed as well. Now you got to hit free throw. They've already missed 6 on the night. Going down the stretch, Beck, you got to put them in.
They're in the double bonus, so a couple of shots now. The first of which is off the mark by Mario Barnes. First try at the line tonight. He's 80% from the line. Here comes Drew Smith back onto the court for Evansville Reitz. Here's Jamie Burnett out there for Southport. And Barnes will try it again. So Mario gets 1 out of 2. He has 9 points on the afternoon. That's just barely above his scoring average.
Whoa.
Oh, Damari
Not so
Davis
sure.
almost got by with a walk.
Still just a 2-possession ball game.
Well, that defense by Reitz really in your face, and that's their only hope right now. They've got to get that ball stopped. They can't exchange hoops. That won't work. Walton saves it down in the corner. Now throws it back out long range, and they'll set the offense up again. 3:45 to go here in the 4th quarter.
Well, the energy both teams are putting out, both offensively and defensively, is unbelievable. Both these teams going to be wore out, I guarantee it, when this game's over with.
Well, I mentioned that Reitz will open up in the Evansville North Sectional on Tuesday against Evansville North. If they should win, they would play Evansville Harrison in Game 1 on Friday. As for Southport, they're in the Perry Meridian Sectional, and they get a bye. They play the winner of the Indianapolis Northwest and Ben Davis game in the 6 p.m. game on Friday. By the way, this field house here will host a regional, as that foul, by the way, was called on Sanford. Free throw is up and good. They'll have the winners coming in from Lawrence Central, Martinsville, Newcastle, and Perry Meridian. And the South semi-states will head to either Richmond or Seymour.
Bennett with 11 in this period alone. Make it 12.
And a total 23 of the game. Half a dozen above his scoring average.
Rice needs to score.
A shot on the way. It's off the mark by Stein. If he'll go to the line as he was fouled.
Southport foul called on number 5, Jamie Burnett.
The foul on Burnett is number 1.
Stein goes back for his 9th attempt. He's 4 for 8.
Unofficially, Jen, I'm showing in the second half that Reitz has missed 2, 4, 5, 6 free throws. And
another one.
Make it 7.
It makes it tough.
And this is a good free throw shooting ball club, as we talked about earlier, 76%. 74-66, 8-point ball game, Southport. This one is good.
That one.
16 points now for Alex. A couple shy of his scoring normal. Now here's that full court pressure. And it looked as though he might have traveled, but the official's right on top of it. Now here's a steal. Here's the breakaway. They had a lead man up court behind the back dribble, and an offensive foul. Simply out of control was Hansen.
Yeah, he had his head down when he tried to make the pass. Didn't see that the defender had clearly had his feet planted. I thought it was a pretty good call.
And they had an open man right down to the left side about 5 feet away. He could have dumped it off, but again, in the heat of the moment, did not get the job done. Here is a steal. Open look for 3. This is Stein. No. Rebound in the middle this time. Pulled out of there by Eli Walton. And a foul. Just watching Michael Adams, the coach of Evansville Reitz. Boy, he has worked this ball club hard here this afternoon. And that foul on Hansen is his 5th, so Nate will foul out of the game with unofficially 16 points.
One well of a ball game. You can see him over there. He's completely exhausted. You're not talking just offensive defense. You're talking about full court pressure almost the whole game. It's a different level of pressure.
Yeah, that just adds to the mental pressure of this whole thing. And again, if these two clubs were to meet again, it would be in the semi-state. And wouldn't that be a heck of a matchup?
You know, 7 points is very reachable here for Reitz. We still have plenty of time, especially they've stolen the ball 2 out of 5 possessions.
They just haven't been able to get anything done with it once they've made the steal.
The missed free throws have really haunted them a little bit.
Now, Jacob Norman on the court for Reitz. And here is Eli at the line. He's 1 of 2 in the game tonight. 56% free throw shooter.
That's a big miss by Southport as well.
And a quick rebound and a foul on Bennett.
Both teams leaving free throws on the table.
They certainly are. And in a game like this, Jan, you just can't get that done.
No, you got to have them. You got to have them, especially with the clock stopped.
There were not many free throws in the first half. Reitz was 2 out of 4, and Southport was 2 out of 2. But we had a ton of them here in the second half.
Jacob Norman at the line, shooting 2.
So Norman goes to the line with a couple of shots. He is 3 out of 4 for the line on the year, shooting 72%. 10 points now for Jacob, averaging 12.6. Brunk goes in. Damari Davis comes out for Southport.
Still just a 2-possession game.
Likewise, Scruggs is in. And Burnett is out. And missed the free throw again. 74-68 still, as Jan mentioned, a 2-possession game. Driving the layup is going to be good.
No, I think they're going to wave this off. Offensive foul.
He gave the signal for offensive foul. Is that what he's going to call? Yes, he is. The foul's going to be on Scruggs.
I thought that was a good call as well.
And that's 5 on him.
Yeah, that's big for Southport. I really thought that was a pretty good call as well. Scruggs had his head down. When you dribble with your head down, you are more apt to get that offensive foul.
You got to know where the defensive man is. Right now, Kyle Simpson deep in conversation with the official to no avail, I should point out. So they'll take Scruggs out, and they've got 30 seconds or so to get him back, get the substitution they want into the lineup. So Reitz trailed at the end of the first quarter, 19-17. At halftime, they were up by 3, 35-32. They were down by 6 after 3, 58-52, and now trail 74-68. We have had 4 ties, 10 lead changes. Reitz's biggest lead was 5. Southport's biggest lead was 10. Kind of a synopsis of how this game has gone.
Simpson let him know he wasn't real happy about the call. I thought it was actually a pretty good call. The problem is losing Scruggs for him is huge.
It really is. Here's the layup at the other end that got away, and last touch by Reitz.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity. Now with 2:48, Bake, you only get so many offensive possessions. You can't let him slip away here.
It's still only a 2-possession ball game, but the defense, and here's another near steal, but a good recovery by Malik Bennett, and a whistle and a foul prior to the steal. And it appears to be on Sanford.
Well, Reitz's full court trap may be as good as any I've seen. They stick 3 guards up and just really go after the trap.
And foul on Sanford, by the way, is his 4th. Jalen, who averages 21.3 points a game, has only 5 to his credit so far. Here's the free throw attempt by Bennett. Having a great fourth quarter. 13 points in the quarter after getting 11 through the first 3 quarters of the game.
24 on the night.
Yep, Malik averages 16-9.
Reitz needs to answer.
Yep. You got plenty of time. You don't have to go to the 3-point shot, but it sure would be nice to get one. Outside long range, Sanford will fire. And the rebound inside, and it went off the hands of Reitz again. So Southport will have it.
Yeah, I think they called it off of Drew Smith.
There's a substitution change for the Panthers. Ruckman will come back onto the court. Norman will come out momentarily with 2:33 to go. And a blocking foul called against Reitz. They're slowly but surely, Jan, reaching the point where they're going to have to commit the foul.
Yeah, and what Southport does there, they've got to be careful of is you throw that ball over in that side, then Reitz uses the sideline as a defender, and you get a trap there.
Eli Walton at the line, shooting 2.
So a couple of free throws coming up now for Eli Walton. He is 1 for 3 from the line in this game. Both ball clubs in the double bonus. Only the second point of the game for Walton, who averages just a shade under 6 per. 77-68, the lead back to 9. Could get back to double digits again. Instead, he missed. Rebound off into the hands of Alex Stein, the top rebounder for the Reitz Panthers at 5.8. At the other end, driving layup is good.
Stein gets the bucket, Bake. That's 6 for him in this period.
Yeah, he's having a nice ball game altogether. 19
steal.
points and a steal again. Here's the layup. Wouldn't go. Rebound fought for. Knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Southport. So Reitz will get it under their own hoop with 2 minutes and 8 seconds to go.
What about the effort really by both the ball clubs going after the basketball? Unbelievable effort.
I mean, the pursuit of the loose ball by Reitz is unparalleled. If it's loose, they're going after it. Long three. Got it. Alex Stein with his first three-pointer of the game, and you just mentioned, Jen, what a great fourth quarter he's having, and he's got the lead down to 4. Here's the pickup right at midcourt. Now let's see what Southport wants to. Here's a steal! Steal by Reitz. This is Smith. Got it! Smith with 9, the first 2 points he has scored in this half, and suddenly at the other end, nobody went back to cover Walton, and Walton has his first bucket of the game.
Look out, 7,500 people are standing. This one's coming down to the wire, baby.
Yeah, they could sell the seats all over again because nobody's using them. Great baseline move and a super play by Jalen Sanford. First bucket in the second half, 7 points of the afternoon. And timeout. It's a 30-second timeout taken by Southport, I believe.
Both teams getting easy baskets, and a lot of that is just exhaustion. I don't know how you continue to play at the level both teams have played and leave the defense on the table. But, boy, both teams in that transitional period had some easy buckets, and that's tough.
You know, the fatigue may have played into that last bucket by Walton. He didn't bother to go up court after the steal, so when they got the bucket, he was still waiting at the other end. That's a big bucket in this ball game.
Well, Reitz's full court pressure really started to pay havoc on Southport. They've got to be they being Southport, cannot throw the ball over to the side. Evansville traps as well as anybody.
Well, this is exactly the kind of game that will bring you back to future games.
Yes,
what a tremendous bit of competition. Now here's Reitz set up in a man-to-man, and they are putting pressure all over Southport. They've got it into Brunk's hand. They don't want, and a steal! He's given inside, knocked away, and a foul's going to be called. It'll be Eli Walton.
How about the pressure of Reitz? Unbelievable!
The foul on Walton is his fourth.
You've got to pay attention to where you're throwing the ball, or Reitz will steal it. Free throw's huge now, Big.
Drew Smith will go to the line. Drew on the year shooting 76%. The first one is good. Smith's first free throw of the game. He's in double figures now, scoring-wise with 10.
How about the comeback of Reitz?
Oh, it's amazing. The last time the game was tied was at 37. Misses it, got his own rebound, put it up and scores!
Reitz with the 1-point lead, Big.
Just like that, they were 10 down just moments ago, and that looked to be almost an intentional foul. Not intentional in the degree you're going to get a free one, but...
Well, I think actually it turns out to be a good foul because it would have been a breakaway easy bucket by Southport, so make them earn it. Got to hit the free throws now, both teams.
Okay, now they have made a change on the scoreboard that goes along with my scorebook initially. They say that is Drew's fourth foul. Earlier they showed 4. They showed 3 when he had one, so I'm assuming that is correct, so that's the fourth foul on him. But when they showed the 3 and then went to 4, I thought, no, that doesn't jive with mine, but I assume they're paying attention down there.
If they were smart, they would always go with you.
No. Bennett 1, Bennett 2. He is 6 for 6 in the line in this quarter, 16 points.
1-point ball game, Big.
81-80, that's the 12th lead change of the game. Reitz with the basketball on offense. Deep in the corner. Swing it back outside. This is Stein for 3. No. Rebound, Joey Brunk. And they had an outlet man up court. Burnett released as soon as the shot was taken. Almost a turnover. And they're going to call a foul. Now they're showing that's Drew Smith, and that would be 5.
Yeah. Smith has played a lot of this fourth period with 4 fouls.
Smith will be gone with 12 points. Just about a point and a half above his scoring average. So Drew fouls out. He did not score in the third quarter. 5 here in the fourth. A total of 5 in the quarter. And a total of 12 for the ball game.
Well, just as Southport lost Scruggs, that was a big loss for Southport. Losing Drew Smith is big for Reitz. So both teams having not only to go to their bench, but make adjustments.
Well, it's the fact that they're losing him now, Jan, but they also had to sit him down for a while. Michael Adams took him out of the ball game for a while. And you need a guy like Drew Smith in there to help run the ball club at guard.
Boy, just the effort that Reitz put in to get this comeback. You looked up the clock around the 2-minute mark. You go, wow, I'm not sure. And boy, just like that, they found an extra gear to get this thing back.
And we've talked all year about their offense. It's the defense that got him back into the game.
That's a great point. You're exactly right. It was their full court pressure, Bake, that clearly made the difference getting them back in this ball game.
Bennett missing his first free throw attempt of the game. No matter what happens, it's a one-possession game here, especially now, just a 2-point lead if Malik hits this one. 41.9 to go in the game. He does get this one, so he's having an all-pro fourth quarter. Now let's see what Reitz wants to do here. They come to the near side. The ball is tipped away and picked up by Brunk. Out they go now to Bennett, and the bucket will not have counted. The foul was called right about the free throw line.
Well, this time Southport put a half-court trap of their own on And Evansville Reitz did not do a great job of the pass, and it got deflected, and Southport stole it.
Foul is on Stein. Alex's personal foul number 3, and here comes Bennett back to the line again. The 9th time he's been to the free throw line in this quarter.
Just missed one.
18 points in the quarter. Bennett, 72%. Got them both.
His free throw shooting has kept Southport hanging around with the lead here by 4, Beck.
84-80. Southport by 4.
Southport in a 1-3-1 half-court trap.
Open man on the near side is Stein. Open look from the deep corner. Nothing to it. Rebound picked off by Reitz. They'll put it right back up and miss it. They'll try it again, and still no foul and no bucket, and a quick foul on the ensuing defensive rebound.
Brunt got a piece of it. Brunt got a piece of that. Give him a lot of credit defensively. It's not due to lack of effort. Evansville Reitz with 2-3 opportunities, just banging at the boards, and finally in that last attempt, Joey Brunt got a little piece of the one.
So Joey Brunt will go to the line, and we'll get a full timeout. We're going to stay right here. 12.4 to go in this ball game. Joey Brunt is the guy that turned things around, Jan, in the third quarter. He had 14 points. In fact, he had all but 4 field goals in that quarter. Then in the fourth quarter, Malik Bennett steps up and gets the job done. Meanwhile, we talked about how the offense had spread out amongst the starters of Reitz. They've done that again in this ball game. I'm just briefly looking. Smith out of the ball game with 12. Alex Stein, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 22 for him. 10 points for Norman and 16 for Hansen. So they've lived up to their expectations, and I'm more impressed with the defense right now than I am the offense.
Yeah, you made a great point earlier on. It clearly was their defense, and 12.4 is a lifetime when the clock stops. Just a 2-possession still ball game. At least for now, the difference has been Southport has been able to hit their free throws, specifically Bennett in this fourth period.
He is 9 for 10. They are 10 for 13 from the free throw line of the quarter.
Interesting, Brunt has not even scored in this fourth period.
So here is Brunk, 60% from the line. Joey's first point in the fourth quarter. He had 6 at halftime and had 7 field goals in the third quarter. Well, it's quiet in here. And this one is good.
22 for Brunk.
All right, they want a timeout. We'll go ahead and take this timeout with 12.4 to go on the IHSAA Champions Network.
Are you a fan of exciting action, great sporting atmosphere, and good displays of sportsmanship?
I am definitely a fan.
High school sports, pure spirit, pure sport, pure entertainment value. Are you a fan of amazing spirit, incredible drama, and affordable ticket prices?
I'm definitely a fan.
High school sports, pure spirit, pure sport, pure entertainment value.
Only twice this year have the Panthers been held below 80. 75 by Bloomington South, the game they won, of course, and 78 by Evansville Harrison. And right now, they are right at the 80 mark, and they kind of force things with 6 seconds and 5, and a foul with 3.9 to go. So, Reitz is going to fall for the first time this year.
Well, there is no shame in whoever loses this ball game.
What a game.
You know, when a game of this magnitude, it lives up to its billing. It clearly has. You know, you can break it down in all different types of ways. I really thought both teams' defenses were pretty good today.
Well, the defense is what got Reitz back into this game after they were down by 10. They were everywhere. Their arms were outstretched. They were making terrific. If not, Jan, if they didn't seal the ball, at least they deflected it. They had an impact on it.
You just look at really one stat that really kind of haunts Reitz. It's the free throw shooting, as it always does in these big games. And they left some points on the table from the free throw line.
Yep, that's something they'll have to take a look at. Final seconds tick away, and that's all she wrote. And the final score is Southport 88, Evansville Reitz 80. Reitz first loss of the year. 23-1 they go. Their final score of 80 was 14 points below their scoring average. Southport, we mentioned, averaging 71-1, 17 points above their scoring average. What a terrific test, Jan, for both these teams going into tournament play.
You know, I was teasing a little bit early on, kind of tongue-in-cheek about how you're going to get to 100 points. That really wasn't the point. But look where we end up, in the 80s. That's one well of an offensive night for both ball clubs. And, you know, with over 7,500 standing, screaming fans, both teams did everything that they possibly could. And it just comes down to a play here or a play there that made the difference.
Well, to me, this personifies what high school basketball used to be, and still can be.
Right. No doubt about it. It can be. And I think that's what a lot of people, even here today, came to see, you know, in the packed environment. Beautiful Southport facility. And just great basketball, because there was energy, there was effort, there was everything that coaches try to get out of young 16, 17, 18-year-olds.
I was standing down after the JV game, which was just unbelievable, with the Evansville Reitz boys winning 48-47. And I was talking to some of the Reitz fans who had made the trip up from Evansville. Not an easy trip, by the way. And the enthusiasm that they brought for the JV game, for crying out loud, and came over to the varsity game, I thought was tremendous. And one of the things we talked about, the crowd, over 7,000 here today. What I noticed in walking the lobby area, there was a lot of folks out there who weren't rooting for either ball club. Yeah. They just came to watch basketball.
Oh, you're exactly right. There were a lot of people here that just come to see a game, and boy, were we treated to a game for sure.
Here's the Reitz scoring. They were led in scoring by Alex Stein with 22 points. 16 points from Nate Hansen. They had 12 points from Drew Smith and 10 points out of Jacob Norman. Where they may have missed some points, Stan, was Jalen Sanford. I have him down unofficially for only 7 points in the ball game. Sanford averages 21-3.
Well, you know, let's give a lot of credit to Southport. We talked about how long and lengthy their guards are. That makes it more difficult for other teams to shoot, penetrate. You know, Southport's a pretty good ball club.
Absolutely. Southport's leading scorers, let's see, Malik Bennett finishes up unofficially, Jan, with 30 points tonight, and I have 19 of those in the fourth quarter of this game. And he had 9 from the free throw line, hit 9 of 10 free throws.
Yeah, and you look at that and say if he hits just a few more percentage less, it would have been a different ball game. Clearly, he was the difference for Southport, and that's one of the things that's special about the Southport ball club, that it seems like it's kind of a different player every night, because you think Scruggs did it last night, Bennett tonight, Brunk did it in the third period.
Joey finished up, by the way, with 24. What Jan's referring to is Brunk had 7 of the 11 field goals they had in that quarter. 14 points in the quarter, 20 through 3, 24 on the night. And then Scruggs finishes up with 17 points. We've just been handed the official stat sheet. Jan, let's take a quick look. I want to look first off at the shooting. Total field goals for the game for Southport, 33 of 55, 60%. And Reitz for the game, 29 of 59, 49%, about 5 percentage points below their norm.
Yeah, and just as you look at this, and once again, I don't want to just harp on something, but you quickly go to the difference. Evansville from the free throw line, 12 of 21. That's 9 points. Turnovers, you can look at that and go, well, Southport had 17. Of course, give Evansville Reitz all kinds of credit, because their full court pressure may be as good as any I've ever seen. they get a 1-2, 1-1 type trap, and they just flat out trap, and they cause a lot of turnovers.
And then in the rebounding category, this may be big likewise. Southport out-rebounded Evansville Reitz 39-22. Well, to say it was a good game would be the understatement of the year. Our schedule now will have us going next week to cover a sectional, probably on a Friday night. We'll decide on the sectional site, go out and cover those two games for you. Jen, it's been one whale of a game.
You know, you made a statement early on about this is the way a lot of us remember high school basketball, not just when it's 1 and 2, but every Friday night, and that's the way it should be. Hopefully we'll continue to make strides and make that happen, because no better value than what we've seen out here today.
Wouldn't I love to see these two match up again in the semi-state?
And I hope they do.
We'll talk to our executive producer, Mr. Vanderweilen, about that. That should work out well. Thanks to Rick, the executive producer tonight, and of course to Jeff Luzato of Sweet Lou for his fine efforts, and we thank you for joining us. The final score again, Southport 88, Evansville Reitz 80, and again we'll see you on Friday night with sectional activities. For Big Jan, I'm Jerry Baker saying good night or good afternoon on the IHSAA Champions Network.